from wherever you guys are. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you guys are joining us from. I am Bisma Noshad. I am a student liaison of IEEE Power and Energy Society Young Professional, and I would like to welcome you all on our first day of Powering the Future Summit for Middle East, Africa, and Europe. Today, in our second technical session, we have a very special guest from the United Kingdom, Uduak Akpanedet. She is the Chevening Scholar, and she has completed her master's in electrical engineering from the University of Manchester, and currently she's serving as the consultant electrical engineer in ITPE, where she is actually contributing to entrepreneurial as well as technical and environmental aspects. And today she will be guiding you all regarding how to ace scholarships and how to make the best statement of purposes or letter of purpose or letter of motivation to exceed in your goals. Thank you very much, Uduak, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Bisma. Thank you for having me here. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here today, and it's such a privilege. Welcome, everyone. My name is Uduak Akpanedet, as you've heard, and today we'll be looking at how to write an effective, impressive SOP. And so let me just try to share my screen. Please just let me know when you can my screen when you can see my screen. All right. So welcome today. We're going to look at how to write an effective SOP for in order to get scholarships. So, like I said, my name is Uduak Akpanedet. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're joining us from. It's afternoon where I am. All right, so you've heard about me. I'm just a consultant engineer. I have my master's for this is important for the benefit of what we are having today. So I have MSc Electrical Power Systems Engineering, University of Manchester, and it was sponsored by prestigious Chevening Scholarship, and I also have Bachelor of Engineering, Electrical and Electronics Engineering. I'm a member of Institute of Engineering and Technology, IET, also a member of IEEE PES, WIP, and the rest of it. So, and also UN advocate for sustainable development goals. All right, so these are the few things we're going to look at in the next couple of minutes, and we go to question and answer time. So please, if at any point I can't see the comment section, I can't even see myself, but I hope you can see the screen. And so if at any point you can hear me, I'm just going to be sure that I can see the screen very well, or you can see the screen. Okay, so if at any point in time you're not hearing me, please feel free to just unmute and say it, because I can't see anybody. Thank you. And if you also have questions, do well to drop in the comment section. At the end of it, we're going to look at into that. And so before we start, these are the outlines we're going to look at today, and we're going to look at what is SOP, and we're going to look at the difference between the university SOP and the SOP for scholarships, which is our main focus for today. And we're also going to look at the common topics in SOP for scholarship, and the tips to write an impressive SOP, and tools. Of course, we have tools that can as well help to, just checkmate your SOP conclusion, and then we proceed. All right, so when we talk about SOP, what's SOP? SOP basically is just some statement of purpose. It's like I said, basically essays. It's a form of essay that summarizes your purpose for the application, why you are applying for, be it for the university or be it for scholarship. And so it's a form of essays. It's just a summary of why your application, why you're putting on the application. And we have kind of the congruent forms to it, and it's quite important because this has to do with the academic score. So there are things you need to have an understanding when you're looking at into writing SOP, that statements of purpose. And so you have to check do meet the requirements, and in terms of the academic scores, communication skills, and the talent. That's the quality. So it's important to look at all these things. And so this as well, when we talk of it, it has the multiple factors which has to, contribute to the facts you're writing this. Why are you applying? And so when we talk of SOP, why are you applying? You're putting in the application for universities, you're looking for admission. So why? So you have to give reasons. Like probably you're looking for applying to university. Like when I did the application to the University of Manchester, I wrote SOP, and so I explained, so why are you applying? I applied because I want admission. I've completed my first degree and I'm looking forward to pursue. So it is important to state this and explain to them. And what have you done to deserve that? So a lot of school, let's say for instance, you're putting in SOP for university admission. And so why do you think the university should pick you out of millions of students that are applying for it? And so this is when you have to, explain to them why they should. Why do you think? What have you done to deserve this? So this is where you put in. This is where you explain things that you've done in the past. We're gonna go into details of this and how this move fits with your short term. So you're looking at your goals, your short terms, your long terms, and your medium. You understand, medium terms. So this is very important that it comes into in your SOP, statement of purpose. So, and your X factor, that X factor here is your quality, your talent, what you understand. So these are the things you need to put into SOP. And so the next thing is that we're looking at the difference between the university statements of purpose and the statements of purpose for scholarship. Like I said, these are different things, for university SOP is quite different from this statement of purpose for scholarships. So it's important that you understand this. So when we talk of statements of purpose for the university, this is looking at you're to convince, you're looking at to attract, you understand, because it's the panel they're going to look at. So the admission committee, you're telling a story to the admission committee that you are the perfect candidate. You're the perfect candidate for the program you're applying for. And so, and their institution, because no institution, especially the foreign countries that are looking for any university, they're looking for students who as well, in as much as they're going to benefit from the university, and they're also going to add impact value to the university. And so they're looking for the right candidate. So SOP, when you're writing statements of purpose for university, you're telling the admission committee, hey, I'm the right person, I'm the right candidate for the program. So you have to put that into writing. On the other hand, a statement of purpose for scholarship, which is focus for today, is meant to convince the institution or the organization why they should fund you. For instance, I'm a Chevener, and I was sponsored by Chevening to do my master's in the universities of Manchester, and so it's important why you put in that. So they're going to pay a huge sum of money, so you're applying for funding, and so you have to convince them, the organization, whichever scholarship you're applying for, the Chevening, the Commonwealth, in different countries, any scholarship you're looking for. So you're telling them, I'm the right candidate, and this is why you should spend your money on me. And so you have to put that, they have to be convinced that they're not just going to waste their money. So this is important. So we look at this, we consider the factors. So SOP for scholarship is based on topic given to you. For instance, case study Chevening, because I'm a Chevener. So they have 4 topics. You have to write on leadership. You have to write on your goals. You have to write on your experience, your academic. You understand? So there are different topics. So basically, it's common to every scholarship that I've glanced through. And so for the SOP for scholarship, it has to be based on the topic given to you. And so when you have the topic, this is very important because you have to look at each of the scholarship website, the scholarship you're applying. And so you have to look at what you are to write on. And this is very important. And so when you pick that, you have to explain it. So it is best for scholarship, it's based on the topic given to you. And while for the university, you just draw the storyline. So for instance, the University of Manchester is just like, oh, write an SOP for why, you understand, for your admission, write it to the school board. And so this is when you have to consider things, is a storyline. So you have to consider, tell about yourself and tell about your past experience and the rest of the things. But when it has to do with scholarships give topic which you have to work on, you research and work on. And so for the focus in terms of the SOP for scholarship, it depends on the type of scholarship. I said this. And so you look at each of the scholarships, they have the academic merit, they have qualification, for instance, Commonwealth, Chevening, the EU, they are looking for 2-1 equivalents to the UK 2-1, for instance. That's basically that the great academic qualification. And so if you're applying for masters or you're applying for PhD, they have certain grade that they're looking for. So the academic merit is important. You have to include that. We have the athletic ability. That's basically for a different angle, but we are looking for academic merit and social background, cultural differences, leadership. And so in terms of generally most scholarships, you have to include your academic merit, your leadership. These are important things which we look out for. And so, and it also have word limits. All SOPs are written has word limits, so you have to check, and so that because you have to make sure that you don't exceed the word limit. So these are the necessary things we look out for when you're writing, when you're looking at effective SOP, because when you have this in mind, you start the writer and you already have the clue on what you're looking for. So this is very important. And we have common topics in SOP for scholarship. Basically, like I said, for scholarship, we have the academic merit, which basically the academic accomplishment for the student. And so, for instance, Chevening, they will ask you if you have equivalent to 1 and the subject of interest. So this is very important because you're writing an essays, you're writing your statements of purpose for admission, it has to be based on your academic merit, has to be on the subject of interest, what course you're applying for, what do you intend to study, does it match? This is very important because does it match what the organization, the covenant body are looking for? It's not all, if you check, for instance, if you check Chevening and Commonwealth and other few scholarship, I've checked their website, you'll get to see that they will tell you like they're looking for STEM. So thank God that people here, I'm talking to IEEE basically, so it has to do with science, the STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So we're looking at the science, the covenant body, and so you look at the management, you look at how many percent goes to the science, to the STEM, to the management, to educational sector, like people going to study like education related and public management and that. So it's important you look at this because the subjects of interest, the course you pick can as well give you an edge to your SOP. There are lots of people who have written this, so you look at the motivations behind why you pick this and of what advantage currently the technology. They're looking for high tech, they're looking for science, they're looking for engineering, they're looking for medicals. So you look at these things, it gives you an advantage. So you don't just go and pick something somewhere which is not. I'm not saying there's no modules that is relevant, but what I'm saying is that you look at where you have an advantage. So these are the common topics when you consider in your SOP, because I've have been in a situation where prospective scholars ask questions like, I haven't seen, I've searched, I haven't seen any tips on how to go about my modules. And so when you just choose something which is not very common, what I mean by common, which it's not of advantage, so you find it hard to prove a point, and so you have to look at what you're writing for, check the percentage of where the scholarship they focus. For instance, Chevening are looking for leaders who are able to contribute, who are able to give back in terms of community development. So what you are applying for, does it have an impact on the community? Will you give back to it? So these are the things that your SOP should as well look out for. And tips to write an impressive SOP, statement of purpose. So the structure before you just moved into any application, your SOP. So you just have to look at, there are lots of tips which can aid your SOP, and it's very important. And so the way you begin it, because sometimes the opening is very important, and you have a panel who are looking at to read, people who are looking, you're presenting to a panel, a committee, and so you're looking at, it's not one person that is going to read, is going to read and pass to the next person and keep passing on. And so this is important because how you start, for instance, I pick a book to read, and it is the introduction that will encourage me. So there's some books I just pick to read from the introduction. I'm already feel exhausted. So this is exactly how SOP should be. It should look at like your introduction, your beginning parts, how you start the statement is very important, because people are, you encourage the reader to move forward. So to go on, you have to add words that are encouraging, given, I mean, the timeline, they have thousands of essays, for instance, to read. And then you're not, so I've reviewed some SOPs, and just after the first paragraph, the first sentence, I'm not encouraged to go on again, but it's that simple. So, and then the body of it and the conclusion parts really matter. So you have to must have an impressive opening. By impressive opening here, and so you're basically just looking at how what you're looking out for here is, for instance, they're asking, Chevening is looking for leaders who have an impact, who have impacted their community, who is going to come and study, connect, have network, and achieve a whole lot of things, and go back and add values to the community. So you're presenting yourself. They ask you, okay, can you write why you're fit for this? And so you're starting like your starting point must be matter. Yeah, it's the way you present yourself, how you dress, that's where how you'll be addressed. So that's how you must have an impressive opening. And then you talk about your passion here. I'm passionate about renewable energy. I'm passionate about renewable projects. So here you're not just telling everything about yourself, but the key things, the attractive things, the things, it has to relate to what you're looking to study. Remember, we are writing SOP for scholarship. So we are telling somebody, the committee, I'm the best candidate, you are the best candidate for them to spend their money on. So you have to talk about your passion, why you are passionate about the modules, the course you want to study. And so you have to present yourself, and they have to see like, oh, this is the best candidate. So if we fund this person, he or she is going to get back, is going to do well, and will add value to the community. So you talk about what you're passionate about, your passions, and why you choose to go for that. And you state your future goals. So in terms of the future goals, a lot of people made based on the SOP I've reviewed. So when you talk about your future goals here, you break it down to 2 years, what you're gonna do in 2 years, what you're gonna do in 5 years, what you're gonna do in 10 years. So basically you're talking about your short terms, your middle terms, and your long terms. And so it has to be real. It has to be real, like what we have smart. So that's basically how SOP are measured. They're measured based on the smart tips. And so you're telling somebody, this is going to be your short terms. So it has to be measured that it's going to be achieved within 2 years. And so you're not going to tell somebody something that you will achieve this in 2 years. Meanwhile, it's something that everybody knows is not achievable in 2 years. And so that's where, but you actually have a good write up and you're wondering, why am I not being accepted? It's simply because you've brought in long terms to short terms. And so this is something you have to look at. It has to be measurable, has to be achievable. So these are the things, time management, the time consciousness is, it has to be effective. So you state your long terms, your short terms, your middle term, basically break it down to 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years. And then you share your experience. You share how your experiences have prepared you for this. And so you like, for instance, after your first degree, what have you done, or what's your experience? How has your experience prepared you for this? You want somebody to fund you. So it's just like doing a business. You want somebody to invest in your business. And so basically you have to tell the person who have done a business before, or for $100. And because it was just because I invested $100, and so I was able to achieve $20. But if I have invested $200, and this is how I think it should have been, maybe I would have gotten $40. So you have to share your experience, how your experience has prepared you for this. For instance, electrical engineer. After my undergrad, I was working, I was contributing to the sector, I was designing, I do a whole lot of things. And so I'm preparing to go for masters, and with the experience, I'm going to contribute more. I'm going to have a lot of other experiences in terms of design, and that's just one way. And so how has your past experience prepared you for this? So that's what they want to see in your SOP. Because don't forget, you're asking an organization to fund you, to support you, and mention why you believe you're worthy of the scholarship. And so here, when you say how you have to mention how you think you're qualified for the scholarship. And so it's basically just being confident, you understand, that okay, this is how it should be. You've written this. Oh, I believe with this fund, I'll be able to achieve my master's, I'll be able to achieve my PhD, or whatever you are applying for, MBA, or you're applying for fund. And so with this, I know that because I've been doing this, so it's in you, it's linked, interconnected. And so basically, from what you have the opening, you just continue. So from your experience, from what you've shared, and you say, oh, with what I've done in the past and what I'm looking for to achieve in the future, I believe that with this scholarship, with this funding, I'll be able to achieve that. So you just have to link your future, your past experience, you and your future goals, and state why it is important that they fund you. So these are basically things you should look out for. And tools for SOP for scholarships. So last percent of merit scholarship are offered academically, like I said, and in terms of the motivation and academic diligence. So, but what we should understand here is that a lot of people just sometimes, when I reviewed SOP, I just saw that I don't. Yes, it's important you write your SOP yourself, but there's some applications which can help you check. I don't mean gonna write for you, to help you check, because sometimes I review different people, but you see they have similarities, and you just feel probably they just copy things. They just copy things online and put, because it's important. This is basically what the committee, the organization, are doing to our essays when they put in the essays, and they just have the plagiarism checker, which is important, and they know that, oh, this is just copy and paste. But the different thing is that for SOP, you're not going to be your the only punishment is going to be you're not going to progress to the next stage. Don't forget the a good having a good SOP is just a step closer to your dreams, to achieving your dreams. Because, for instance, when you present your SOP and when it's accepted, when it's good, impressive, that's when you're going to be invited for the next stage for interview. And so SOP is the first stage. So if you have a good one and you're sure that you're going to have an opportunity to move a step closer to your dreams. And so there are apps like that which you can just use to check plagiarism, to check grammatical errors in terms of typo errors is very important, because sometimes, like I said, how you join words, it's important. It must connect. SOP must connect. Your first paragraph, your second one has to connect. It's a continuation of your introduction. It's the second paragraph like that, and your conclusion. So it's interconnected. It has to be from, you look at what was then and before. And so this is very important. So sometimes those little words we think it's right, it's actually they're all grammatical errors. So you have to use the app to check it. Important. And also point out check out for points you might have missed because it's important. You help improve your language of your SOP. SOP has a language, it's very simple, but it's hard if you don't follow the simple rules. SOP has a language, and the language has must be that if it's 10 paragraph, it's 5 paragraph, they all have to be continuations of the previous paragraph. There are no fresh start except it's otherwise stated. For instance, Chevening will ask you, can you point 3 example where you think that your leadership, you understand, you're giving your previous leadership experience. So that you can give in 3 paragraph. Those are different things, but it has its own language. So there must be a flow. There must be that flow in your SOP. So it doesn't have to, somebody that reads your SOP should be able to understand 3 important things: who you are, what your goals are, and your future, and what you're looking to achieve. So, this is very important in terms of SOP. In conclusion, like I said, SOP first you draft. So, if you're looking at having your SOP, you have to write your SOP. You write it first, and then don't just write an SOP. No matter how good you are, no matter how um, you know too much about SOP, statement of purpose, don't write it and just submit it. When you write your statement of purpose, do well to keep it for some time. Read again, read again, read maybe like 3 times. And once you're done writing, for instance, keep it aside and after a few days. So that's why if you're having a deadline for SOP or you're applying for scholarship, and so you should start preparing for it. Give it some time, give it time, a lot of time, a whole lot of time, because what you think you're right, because you have to send it for review. You have to review it yourself and see what you've done. Does it meet the language of SOP? Does it have all the requirement? Does it follow the rules of SOP? And this is very important. And as well, after you review it, you can ask someone else to review for you. It's very important. There are things that you might not see, someone else will see for you. So it is very important you ask someone else to review your SOP and check as well for grammatical errors and typo errors. It's important because errors, it is an essay, it's an English, it's something you express. So your grammatical errors, it's a blunder. So you have to make sure that it's okay. And when you're done with the final check, when you make your final edit, then you can go ahead and submit your SOP, but it has to meet these tips. And that's it for SOP. And thank you so much. So we can go to the question time. Hi, Bisma.
Uh, Hello, Uduak again. Sorry, my mic was off. Okay, so I can see in the chat people are really appreciating your talk today. I had few questions which I would like you to answer. Number one is, how do we remain to the point in our SOP? Because a lot of times when people are describing their journey, they mention some things which are extra. So how do we remain aligned? What will you say?
All right. And so it's important because they go extreme. You have to look at I recall when I was writing Chevening SOP, and then they say each of it is 5,000 words, and I'm looking at, they say give 3 example. Just one example alone is can give 5,000 words. And so it's important you look out for having a grand opening. It's important because it's the opening that will attract. So you look out, you have to keep, the important thing is that you have to keep to the word limits, the word count. But then your opening is very important because at this point, it's the power of the storytelling. And so you're looking at first the tips you start with, you share life experience. And so you look at these things, you draw the line, um, what you're passionate about. So if you're looking at um, in terms of the opening, so you must have keep it short in terms of your life, about yourself, about your experience, about your for instance your goals. So you just have to summarize it. Look at, okay, you maybe this is what I do. I'm looking at telling somebody about myself. And so I will I'll write it. Uduak is passionate about um, renewable energy. Uduak is passionate about this. And so that's how I write that the first time. And then the second time I do, so can I just a passionate and enthusiasm and this. And so you still look at words and keep reducing it. You keep reducing it until you can write different. How can I tell somebody about myself? You can have it into five. That's why I said you have to give enough time. You write it different, maybe in five places, and then you look at which one should you keep cutting it. It's review. It's something that you don't have to rush about it because the important thing is that you have to keep it the word count. So you keep writing it, you review it, you write and review, you cut it. It's even more to cut it than writing. So that's why first thing whenever I'm writing SOPs that I have the word count in mind. And so I usually type. I don't write in paper. I type so I will see. It helps a lot. Yeah.
Um, Actually, some applications they have pages like not more than 2 pages. So that's why some people they express more than it's required. That's why I asked you this question. And um, another question that I would like to ask you is that can you give some examples regarding like you mentioned in your slide, convincing memorable points. So what should they be? What you have done so far, or what you really want to do in future? I can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry, can you say that again?
Okay, so you mentioned a point regarding convincing and memorable points writing in the SOP. So can you give examples of that? Should it be something that you've already done or something that you wish to do, like your passion?
Okay, yeah. So in terms of your experience, now when they ask, I'm gonna use myself as an example, what I give to Chevening. They're looking for yeah, it's very important because your experience is gonna help a whole lot in the pursuit of they want to see what you've done and how they're able to they want to be sure, in fact the summary is that they want to be sure that as they are funding you're gonna do well, you're going to achieve your dreams. And so the experience was that after my undergrad, I was working and I did, for instance, I work an assets validator in an engineering firm. And then I was able to help in, we call it revenue generation, and was able to achieve 20% recovered lost, 20% of lost revenue. And so that's an experience. How was that done? And so we call it in terms of asset management and enumerations and a lot of things. So that experience is going to that having that experience. So they say, okay, oh, like how does that gonna help you in the future? So with this experience, I'm looking at, oh, I should have. There's a lot way modern way in terms of the digital way. I should have. probably if that was implemented would have been up to recovered up to maybe 30%, but because it was in the analog stage. And so with this experience, so I link it to the module which I was going to study, knowing that the modules is gonna cover the digital aspect of it, for instance. And so this was my experience, and I'm going to get the digital experience. And so combining this digital and the analog, for instance, is going to help achieve. So I'm looking at the end of my program with this digital experience, and if I were able to achieve 20%, I'm looking for 30%. I did not just jump to 50%. So it make it realistic that, oh, 20%, 10%. So that means there's hope. This is the kind of person we're looking for because she knows what she's doing. She has experiences. And with this, if she thinks she can do this, she's not exaggerating. And with the impact, we're even sure she may achieve more than the 30%. So this is just how you combine your experience and what you're looking for. So it has to be connected.
Thank you very much, Uduak. You just mentioned something that I would say is the key point, that you have to align the things that you have done and that you want to do, especially that you mentioned about the modules. So this is one thing that we also have to look at the what the program will be offering, not only on the scholarship, but also what you will be studying, if it is aligned with your experiences and what you want to do. So my last question will be regarding how to talk about your future goals, like you mentioned, your short term as well as long term. And you might know a lot of people say it jokingly that they don't even know what they'll be having the next day. So how can they talk about something after 5 years? So how will you, like, what will be your answer in this regard? Because like you mentioned, you have to be realistic. How do we get to that point?
Okay, when you talk about your goals, you're looking at 2 years, 5 years, and it's a projection. You're projecting it, not necessarily what it's gonna happen, but it shows that you have a plan. Now, in 2 years' time, after my graduation, after when you're telling them when you sponsor me at the end of it in 2 years, now I'm going to implement with the experience. Don't forget you're connecting it with what you study. And so if I study how to design in engineering, how to do electrical design management, and graduate with this experience, it is certain that in 2 years, I'm going to design a software that will detect fault in a system. It is very realistic, it's achievable that with my experience in I'm going to be able to design a system, a software that's going to detect fault. For instance, I did my thesis on I designed a system called an hybrid DC system, semiconductor system to design to detect a fault in the DC and in the DC direct current. And so this system, so I stated that because I look at all the modules I'm going to study, and I saw that I'm going to do this. And so at the end of my program, I was able to design this system. And this system now, with the design of it, so in 2 years, it's possible I did this system. And now in 5 years, I'm looking at marketing this system to big firms, big renewable energy system. And so in 2 years, it's achievable. I can design that. In 5 years, I'm looking at marketing it. I'm targeting big firm so that they will adopt, they will accept and purchase the system, for instance, for the implementation. Now, in 10 years, I'm looking at how when this company have done in 5 years purchasing this system, accepting it. I'm looking at training more. So I'll be moving from one companies to companies to train more people. Now it's a projection. Not necessarily that I know what's going to happen, but I know that this is realistic. After I've been able to train and design this system in 5 years, when the companies accept, of course, because they have no idea what it is, they will need me to come and train their employees. So that's basically you project it. You not necessarily know or how many companies. I did not mention 5 companies, 10 companies are going to because I don't know. But I said that companies in 5 years I'm looking at getting companies to accept this. In 10 years, I'm looking at being training companies employee. That's realistic. But if I've mentioned in 5 years, I'm looking at 10 companies. That's not, I don't know if it will be 10. It can be more, it can be less. Or in 10 years, I'm looking at training 1,000 employee. I don't know how many employees I'll be able to. So these are things you look at. I've reviewed lots of SOP and I've seen people say, oh, in 5 years, I want to do PhD to continue. That's realistic because if you get admission to do PhD, you in 3, 4, 5 years, it's achievable. And so you look at things that are achievable, not necessarily that's what is going to happen, but you have in mind this is possible to achieve within this period.
Thank you very much, Uduak. I really liked your point where you mentioned about you will be training other people. So you're also showing a light, like an area where you are motivated to spread the knowledge, not only keep it to yourself. And I believe that's what scholarship uh, like organizations, they're actually looking for someone who thinks about the community as well. In the end note, will you like to recommend something to our audience? What should they be focusing on, or what skills they should do to add up to their experiences so they stand out in the applications?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I would say it's important because if you're looking at to achieve, to have a great, impressive SOP, for instance, look at instant Chevening scholarship, Commonwealth, all those foreign scholarship. You look at they have similar aims. You look at the aims, they're into community development. So get yourself volunteer in organizations which you add life. For instance, what we're doing now, it's the community development. We're adding value to the people. These are the things Chevening, these are the things other organization, other scholarship wants to see. They wants to see that you're adding value to people. So get yourself volunteer in community development, volunteer in organizations. This is gonna give you this call. You're gonna write an SOP about your experience. It has to be 2 years experience. And so if you count these things, the values, the impacts you've added to the community is important, and get yourself involved in terms of skills. Now look at what it's important. Look at what you're doing. So I won't tell you do this, but they are general skills. Now, is it engineering? Is it science? Now look at their communication skills. It's important. Now look at the technical skills. Look at innovative skills. Technical skills is look at problems that you can solve. Are you able to identify a problem if you see one? And only then, if you're able to identify a problem, only then can you look into solution. So this is technical skills. You have to be able to get yourself trained in that. If you don't know it, just read about it. Innovative skills, the ability to come up with something new. Every day, for instance, at IEEE, we keep coming up with new topics, new development. That's innovative. We are not doing same thing every time. So look at it's a skills, and the ability to communicate is important because in your SOP you're going to communicate. You're telling a story, storytelling, and so lastly, it to be that look into your area, what you're doing currently, and what you're looking at doing in the future between your undergrad and what you're looking to do, for instance, in masters, or what you're looking forward to do generally in life, and check the necessary skills. For instance, as an engineer, a consultant engineer, I know that technical skills is very important. I know that innovative skills, problem solving skills, communication skills. And so I develop based on this. So it might not be similar to everyone here, but look at it, these are basic things that's going to aid your SOP, and start to put things up. No, don't wait till it is the final time before you start writing your SOP. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. So start writing. Look into the scholarships you want to apply. Look into the website. Do a whole lot of research. Research about what you're looking for. Research about the course you want to study. And then, because, for instance, if you're going for Commonwealth or Chevening scholarship, you have to really know what you want to study, and because it will come in your SOP. These are very important things.
Thank you very much, Uduak. No doubt what you mentioned about repeating everything and improving your SOP again and again. Only then we can actually achieve something that can help us to achieve the scholarship. So thank you very much again for giving us your precious time and guiding us through. Eamon, do you have anything to say now?
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's a very helpful presentation for our attendees. Thank you for your time again. Um, if there is no more questions, so we have finished for today, day one on the IEEE PES Young Professional Regional Summit for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Um, and that's all for today. Thank you
Okay.
all.
Thank you very much, Uduak, for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and it's really a pleasure. You can always reach out to me if you have any question, and I'll be happy to address. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, you too. Okay,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye.